I'm going to test him by walking into him. I'm going to test him by stopping and then backing. If he doesn't back up enough, I'm going to say, hey. And he got emotional, so after doing the task, I'm going to pet him and say, hey. And then I'm going to test it again. Stop and then back up. Now he's watching for the rope. So I'm just going to say, hey, dude, move over. Move over. And back up. Move over. And back up. Good. So once I feel like he's got a good understanding that, like he was concerned about the rope because I used it. I touched his belly and now he's like, oh, is he going to do that again? I just told him, I am not going to do that again unless you don't back up. I'm only going to use pressure to say something to you. You're not hearing me, I'm going to use more pressure. And I want him to know that.
So that's why you repeated it.
Right.
Okay.
To clarify the part that he was missing. It's kind of like if I asked you for something that, you know, sounded like one thing, and you misunderstood me and started talking about something else, I'd be like, no. And then I'd clarify it, right? But we can do that in words.
Right.
I have to do that in my actions with him. So you see that head went up, nose went out. I'm going to do it again. Head went up, nose went out. I'm going to do it again. A little bit better, but still not wonderful. So, but I'm going to pet him for the extra effort, and then I'm going to say, let's do it again. And that was a whole lot better, but still not perfect. So I'll give him another pet and say, let's go. Now that one wasn't as good as the last one, but it was better than the first couple. So we just do it again and say, come on now, stay with me. So what are we're missing in the pole there? So I'm going to go right for the heart. And I'm going to stay right here, putting energy on that heart. There.
Okay, until his face
Until he comes and softens. And then I'll give him a pat. And again, I don't have his pole, so I'm just waiting for some softening. So I can feel my energy being compressed there, so I got to put an extra push to get a response out. There we go. And so this is just me trying to find a base level of his threshold, right? So I'll start slow and work my way up. Now, I don't know, like she videos, like today, she's gonna get the whole thing, but sometimes she shows up and I'm already in the middle of it, or she missed the first part of it. Like the first video you saw of him with the saddle,
Yeah.
I did 20 minutes without a saddle before I put the saddle on him, and I wanted to make sure that he would. She ended up coming, you know, after the saddle was on. So most of the time you don't see the very start of it, but I try to start off slow and easy and then work my way up so that I can find the threshold. And so right there, you know, we got backing and we got avoiding. So drifting through his right shoulder, right? There's a lot missing here. And for some reason, most horses are usually really good on the left side and not so great on the right side. But for some reason, he's more avoiding on the right side. And I haven't quite figured that out why. But whatever I do here, I want to do everything I can to draw that front end to me. By sending energy out, but see, he stops before coming. What I'd really like is to see something like that while I'm over there. He'll do it when I'm here in front of him, but he won't do it from here. So when I'm here, all he wants to do is turn and face me and drift out his right side. And so that's where I'll typically grab a flag and I'll come over here and I'll throw the flag up.
Do you want me to grab a flag for you?
Not at the moment.
Okay.
I have one right inside that thing, so I can grab it. I'm not ready to raise that threshold yet. So I want to be able to send him out. And again, he's avoiding, he's backing up. So he's got a no zone.
Yeah.
That's somewhere between here and back here. Because when I get over here, don't mess up the poop. So I'm just going to stay with him until he lets me. See, he's backing. He doesn't want me in that spot. So I'm just going to stay with him until he allows me in that spot. And you know, because Sawyer! So because he's kind of being goofy, I'm gonna really do stuff on this side. Now this is a little premature than what I would normally do, but he didn't want me here. So I want to kind of show him that whatever happens over here, it's okay. You know. So I'm just gonna do stuff that triggers his emotion until he learns to settle himself down. And I don't know if you can tell, but I'm trying to affect that knot to say bend and soften, bend and soften. And I'm shaking that saddle with every bounce. Bend and soften, bend and soften, bend and soften. Pet him for his try, back out to the front where he's comfortable. And then I'm going to try and get myself back there and see what does it do. Does he try to avoid it or does he let me just walk right in? Bend and soften. Good pull. A little quicker this time, right? And so now, I'll ask him to move over. He's backing. I'm just going to keep asking. Move forward. Move forward. See, I don't know if you can tell, but the angle, I'm still in front of his shoulder. I should be able to be just behind the girth. But he's drifting that hind end out and sliding through his shoulder so much that he's keeping an angle on me to not let me back there.
Yeah.
And so I just want to be able to suggest to him that it's okay to position himself and let me there. And so if he's having trouble with it, I'm going to really slide back. There we go. And now this is as close as he'll allow me to be and stay here. So I'll just do this until I notice some softening and some willingness. So I might slow down my left side to draw on that nose. He's starting to creep in, right? It works, so I'm going to let him pause for a minute and let him know. See, it's not that big a deal. Right? And so that's a subtle energy. Even watching that video, you're probably not going to see what I did. So I have to kind of explain those things when I do them. So basically when I'm walking, how do I explain it? I'll use the building for example. If I'm facing the building like this, my left shoulder talks to whatever's on this side, and my right shoulder talks to whatever's on this side. So, in the example I was just doing, he was going in this direction. So, my left shoulder was talking to his nose, and my right shoulder was talking to his hip. And so, if I walk like this, I am really putting heavy pressure on the hip. And depending on whether I'm going this way, or this way, I'm either putting a push on the shoulder or I'm putting a draw on the shoulder. And so while we were both moving, you may not have recognized that I was stepping to the hip. I'm sorry, stepping to the hip with the left and drawing out so that the left shoulder pulled on the face. And you may recognize that in the video. You may not. Sometimes, if I'm really right on with them, I might do this so that this pushes and this draws. And it might come with a step and a draw. But if I'm drawing from this direction, it's going to be a step and a draw, right? So my left pushes on the hip, and my right helps me draw with my shoulder. But from here, my right pushes on the hip, my left helps me draw on the shoulder, right? And so sometimes it changes. So let's get him started out there again. So he wants to back up. So I'm just going to encourage him to come forward, and I'm going to throw energy over there because that's where I want him to go. Almost right on target, right? And he let me right there. That start on this was my hand, so I'll just keep doing it. No response, so I'll stop. And so if I want to, I'm going to get a little further away from that mount block. If I want to affect him from this position, and I want him to make a bigger circle, I'm going to push up here like this. It's going to get bigger. And if I want a smaller circle, I'm going to come over here. And so I'm going to push to the hip, draw with the nose, right? That was a little excessive, but he's very energy sensitive, always has been. I didn't have to teach him a lot of it, so you know, letting him get out there and then asking him to come back in. You'll see my body goes from here to here. When I get him and I want him to stay, I just start walking towards that shoulder. So I can push him out a little wider, or I can ask him to come a little closer. So I'm stepping to the hip, drawing on the eye. Now I don't have his attention, so I might have to go to the rib cage a little bit. Now I can do this. He's not getting him in, so I'm going to push heavier on the hip. Yeah, good. And ask him to continue walking forward. Still pushing on the hip, draw on the eye. Push on the hip, draw on the eye. Now he felt that in the shoulder, even though that isn't where it went. But that's because of his thought process. You know, he wants to evade. He wants to avoid. Right? So the more I can stay in this position, and you'll notice, I'm going to keep choking up on my rope and get closer and closer. As see right now there's a lot of resistance. You can see it in the pole, you can see it in the shoulder. Well, his head's starting to come down, but you can see how his nose is stretched out. There's a little bit of a shelf on his nose. When he's comfortable, you'll see a nice roundness in his neck, and you'll see a very vertical face. And that'll happen automatically as soon as he washes away all his inhibitions. So push on that hip. Ask him to continue. Push. Push on that hip. I'm watching that front end because forward, when he's looking at me, is not super easy for him. He wants to go sideways. So he's leaning on my pressure. I can feel the rope slide through my hand. And I'm holding it in a way that I'll let it slide through my hand. And I'll just push on his hip. Ask him to come back in. Say, that's good. And continue walking. Now he's drifting away, so I'm going to push on that hip. Ask him to come in. Continue walking. So I'm going to shorten my rope just a little bit more. And I'm going to wiggle him in, draw him with my shoulder, might do a transition, push on that hip, take his nose this way, send his shoulder with it. Watch the nose. You see all that? That was a lot of worry. So I might stay here for a second, do some of what I was just doing, but he's more apt to look at me on this side. I'm going to do another transition over here. So first thing I'm going to do is push to the hip, make sure he's connected, say connect to my left hand, step out, stay connected. If he doesn't, then I'm going to throw my rope right up towards his belly there. Didn't touch him or anything, but it's tough. So I'm just going to ask him to stay connected. This is nice. And so again, I'm going to... What? I don't even know what that was. So I'm going to ask him to connect to the left, switch to the right, sweep him out. Again, where's the nose go? Look at that head. Everything inside there is saying, I'm not sure about this. So we're going to do that again. He just doesn't want to go this way. So if I don't get the nose back, I'm just going to throw energy up. And I might spin my rope, smack the ground, or if I had a flag, I might shake it, just to say, yeah. So again, I'm going to push, say connect to my right, sweep through. Stay connected to my right. Stay connected to my right. So I go to the hip to get him back connected to my right. Right? And I'm going to do this where you can see it. So I'm saying stay connected to my right, switch to my left, sweep through, but forward. And so he goes sideways. So I'm going to push him, sweep him, send him, send him. So he's avoiding, so more energy to overcome that motion, and wherever he goes, until he does what he wants to do, I want to let him know that you are not going to cry to me to get me to stop. It's not going to work. So, enough's enough. It's a simple exercise. You can do it. It's easy. Right? It's kind of like, go make your bed. Right? It's as simple as that. Kids put up a fuss. They don't want to do it. I'm sure you're experiencing it. I was one of them kids when I was younger. You know, and this is it. It's as simple as that. Go make your bed. You know, and because it is. It's super simple, and there's no reason to avoid it. But he's going to avoid it, so I just make it a little bit harder, a little more consequence for him. You know? And so there's a little jumpiness there, so I'm going to do that again. I'm going to do it again. I don't mind extra energy because I'm throwing energy at him, but what I don't want is nervous emotion coming along with it. So right there, I'll let him poop. Okay? But I was looking for that hind end to move, and he was stuck. Now maybe he was stuck because he was pooping. But he gets his hind end stuck a lot. So every now and then I kind of just flip up and touch it, and he gets overexcited about it. So when he does, I just keep doing it until it doesn't bother him anymore. And I don't do it with any emotion in me. I just do it to say, come on, you can get over this. This is no big deal. Come on. No. Just do it. It's nothing. Stop it. But, you know, I don't want to throw the rope over him and you know, get him to stop moving his feet and just get him desensitized to the rope. What I want to do is have a conversation. Let this rope talk to him and say, do something. Do something. Because now, this scary thing that he thinks is going to kill him or eat him is just having a simple conversation. Yes, it touches him once in a while, and it stresses him a little when it's like, what's happening here? He's just walking a circle. There. but it was soft enough to bend his whole body, come around more than 90 degrees with his head and neck. Pole was in the right direction, close to vertical in the face. All good stuff, so we want to reward that. And so here I might come over here to the mountain block. Just ask him to stand next to it. And as long as he's quiet and relaxed, I let him stand here. And if he gets a little nervous and excited, we'll go out and do some work, and then we'll come back. But it's not going to be, unless he gets emotional and I have to take it to an extreme, we're just going to come out and do stuff. Easy stuff, like what we've been doing. Just so that he knows, hey, you want a break? This is a good place to hang out. And so I might even make it really nice for him by coming up and, stepping up here and kind of petting on him. I might pet his butt. I might shake the saddle a little bit. Now I'm watching. If he has any trouble, he softened a little bit. I'd like to see the head come down. But whatever. I'll reward every little piece until it gets to the way I want it. So I don't know if you can tell that I got my rope on. There we go. So I want to kind of choke up on my rope just a little bit so that when I wiggle, I can get a nice bend. So, see, he's trying to get something from me right now. I'm not really asking for anything. He's trying to get something from me. So the minute I figure out, I think I know what he wants, but the minute I figure out what he wants, I'm going to give it to him. So I'm going to put my foot right here. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. If he'll come back here, we won't go work. But if he doesn't, okay. So I'm just, my foot in there is what made him go back, so I want to recreate that as quick as I can. Otherwise, I would have started working right away. So I'm just going to ask him to relax. And I'm just doing it by tapping my line. He feels that. That rope's moving. He feels that. I'm just asking him to relax. So I think I know what he wants. And I don't know for sure, but what I think it is he just wants to get away from that thing for a minute. I'm going to take him away from it. Hang out with him. And then I might come over here and do it from here. This time I'm going to do it with my left foot. It's a little easier for me to stay forward and pay attention to what he's doing. Now, I'm nowhere near ready to ride, but working him in the saddle like this and doing this stuff will get us to that point when we finally do ride. He's not going to be worried about me being up there. I'm just going to keep doing this until I see him relax. If he doesn't relax, then I'm going to kind of take this. There we go. So right now he's saying, well, if I do this, you won't put your foot in there, right? You won't. And so I'm gonna let him know I'm aware of his concern, but I'm gonna let him know that it's not anything to talk about. And I'm gonna do that by coming back over here and doing it. Really relax. Come right out. So I'm gonna change the way I'm holding. So I was at a stage where I could get him to relax, but then he stopped. So then I go to the next step to say, well, you know how to relax, so I'm going to push you a little bit more. Okay. So here I'm just going to kind of get right to that second spot. There we go. Good job. And he stayed right there the whole time. I mean, there was a little movement, but he's doing okay. So I might abandon it for a minute. What was his first thing? Backed up, head went really far before the feet moved. We were talking to the shoulder while asking that nose to connect to my left hand. He went way beyond my left hand, and the shoulder laid back in wait for a long time. Right? So, here, try that again. Stay connected, follow. Now he's going to go way past. The nose stayed in pretty good. That wasn't bad. So I'm going to stop him. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to change where I got my rope though. Nice. Shoulder went first. So I'm going to set myself up so that we don't have a mouth block. Connect. We're going over here. Nice job. Stay connected. Nice job. Right, so I give him a minute. That was a big deal. All that was not perfect, but way better than it's been. So we want to let him know when he does good that he's going to be rewarded for it. We want him to feel appreciated. Otherwise he won't appreciate us. He won't learn to appreciate us. And I know sometimes it's hard to appreciate. I'm going to call him a lunatic for now, but I don't really, and he's coming out of it. But, you know, he has those moments, right, that he turns into, so it's hard to appreciate that lunacy, right? And Desiree can tell you, she had a moment of frustration with me the other day. You know, it's hard to appreciate that lunacy when you can't figure out how to get through it. But if you understand how to make those changes, those little moments of saying, hey, it wasn't great, but thank you, you know, that gets you that little bit more real estate inside the mind and allows things flowing a little bit better for you. So let's see, go into flute. So I'm backing up. Again, lost the nose. So I'm just going to kind of ask him to drift a little bit. Drift a little bit. Whoop. Okay, so I'm going to pause for a second, and I'm going to start over, recreate. Over there. Connected. No. So he's not reconnecting as good, so I'm going to put extra energy on that hip just to make this work just that little bit harder. You notice when he starts to relax a little bit, you see the crest in the neck and that face bends and that pole tips? So, but we want that right off the bat. We want that right from the start. So we say, go, stay. Not, so I'm going to go to this. See what's happening? Yeah, now we got it. Took a while. So I'm going to push that hip out so I can be in a straight line with him. And I'm going to do that again. You know, I'm more on his right side, but that doesn't matter. So whenever this happens to you, don't feel like you have to walk over here to get it. Now I'm more on his left side, but don't feel like you have to walk over there to get it, you know, because I'm going to purposely put myself on the right side. If I want to go that way, that's the way I'm going to go. I'm going to lean that way, I'm going to ask him to go that way, and I'm going to sweep him in that direction. I don't have to go over there to send him around in that direction, which is saying, go to your left, when we really want him to go to his right. So we tend to confuse them. So now I'm going to make him commit to it. You got to continue walking forward. Right? And you're seeing more of that crested neck, vertical face, softness in the pole, but not until he gives up whatever emotion is holding him back. Stay right up near the girth. I still don't have it. There, now I do. But I'm going to ask him to stay committed to it. There. Stop him. And I'm going to work on the other side for a minute, because I did notice a couple of issues going right. He's quicker to look at me, but he tends to twist his head and kind of reach out. So, I'm going to work on it. Stop him roughly. You know, I have his butt to the fence every time. We might have moved over a little bit, but I kind of want to start in a similar position. I don't want him getting used to stopping in the same spot all the time either, but you know, if he does fine with his butt over here, but not fine with his butt over here, we want to work in those areas where he's having the noises of that equipment might be bothering him. I want to address that. Pole. There we go now. Oh, lost it. And so you notice I'm going from the ribs to the face, to the ribs, to the shoulder, ribs, flank, flank, hip, back to the shoulder, ribs, flank, right? And so I'm changing that energy depending on what the nose is doing. Right? If he's looking at me, I'm going to stay up near the shoulder. If he's not looking at me, then I start working my way back. And I'll only go as far as I need, because if I get beyond the center of the rib cage or where that rear cinch is, he's going to start wanting to turn around and face me. So I'll do that if I need to. But once I get him looking in, I go right back to that shoulder or neck, or sometimes right back up to the face to say, oh, no, keep walking forward, because sometimes they just want to stop when we do that.
But you want him to continue the forward motion.
Right. I want him to be able to continue the movement in relaxation. Right? And so if he's tense while moving, I'm going to ask him to relax by softening his body, bending him through the body, sending energy somewhere in the back end so that it works its way back up. Frees up his mind to send proper signals back to the muscles. And when he can do that and stay relaxed in motion, that's when I give the big reward of let's stop. Okay, so right now I'd like to get him lined up with me, because I like to start this exercise with him as straight as possible. So I'm asking him to connect. And I'm saying, we're going to go over here. If he doesn't connect, I'm going to reach around and push on that hip. Now I can sweep that shoulder. And I say, oh, stay connected to the right hand. He's not, so I'm going to go right to the ribs. There. Stay connected to the right hand. Stay connected to the right hand. He's not, so I go right to the ribs. Stay connected. Stay connected. He's okay there. It's not awesome, but I'm going to cut him some slack because, yeah, he just connected right up. And so we want to be able to keep him focused and connected on our hand. All right. I'm going to rephrase that. I say we. It's important to me to get this in a horse. It might not be important to anybody else in the whole world. But to me, I recognize the importance of it. The importance is, when I get up on his back and I'm connected to his face through my reins, I want him to know what my hands are doing, even though he can't see them. And so if I get him to connect to them out front here, that's going to transition a little bit better when I get up on his back. And the same thing, so like when I say connect to my hand, we're going this way, take your shoulder over here. This is just like me bumping him with my legs to say take the shoulder over. If he won't bend, this is the same as me putting my inside leg on to ask him to round out, right? And so all these pieces are being added so that when I get up there, it's familiar, right? And so I can be a lot lighter in my hands. I can be a lot lighter in my legs. You know, I'll be less likely to have to lift the heel to tickle them. I don't typically use spurs, and I spur trained all my guys because I work other horses with them, and sometimes it's necessary to have an instant response. But spurs aren't necessary if you get the mind working and they know what they're supposed to do. Just a lift of the heel and just a little bit of a tickle in that tickle spot is enough to get the response you're looking for. So, and you know, if that doesn't work and you're riding with split reins or you know, you have something, you know, if I put a leg on and say move your hind end over and he doesn't, I can just go move your hind end over, and I touch his hind end with the rope a little bit and he's going to go. Same thing with the shoulder. If I say let's do a turn on the haunches, he doesn't go, I can take that rein, touch his shoulder, and we're going to go. So, and I find that way more effective than spur training. And I think most people overuse spurs. I've heard it said so many times, well, my horse won't listen to me if I'm not using spurs. Well, then you're using them inappropriately. Because the whole point of a spur is to teach your horse to move off your leg, not your spur. So, anyways. So we just want to keep him soft with a nice head like that. And we want to be able to do this through some stress. So if I kind of go into him real quick here, he didn't blow up, right? Having a little bit of struggle with that hind right. That's better. And so, where I didn't really get much blow up out of him, even with all this extra push, and I love how he's just lowering his head and he's getting almost vertical. And he's softening his body and moving, and he's not trying to resist so much. Right now, I'm pushing his shoulder out. And so when I ask him to come back in, it comes back in. So I'm happy with that. Are you? Are you? Huh? So I might come back here for a second, set myself up, just kind of get to this, stay for a minute. I felt some twitching in his back. So, and I see his eye, he's really concerned about that. So I'm going to kind of just stay here for a second. Good boy. Good boy. You okay? Just waiting on him. There we go. He's got to figure it out, you know. I could go all the way and then let him blow up or let him bolt off and ride it out, but that's okay for a cowboy who wants the quick results and don't care about having all that extra stuff. They just got to produce a horse that's usable. To me, I want a life partner. So I want all the intricacies. You know what I mean? It's kind of like those horses started that way. It's like buying a regular car, crank up your own windows, you know, no power, no power brakes, no power steering, no air condition, you know, put all that extra stuff in. Get the navigation system, get the heated seats, get, you know, get all that. And we do that by building that foundation and get that, the ultimate package, you know. So I'm good to quit him here.
Okay.
I feel like he did pretty good. We just kind of put that, oh, well, I guess it's not
Yeah.
that bad.
Yeah.
And everything else has been really nice. So I'm good to quit him right here. Is there anything you want to do?